Morning students. Today we are going to discuss the topic learning resources. Learning resources in physical science. Okay. So first we are starting introduction. So science is nothing but our life itself. While teaching science as a subject, it is challenging to give our students an experience of all the processes of science. Science cannot be taught as just an idea without giving the students a first-hand experience of the concept and process it holds. But the complexity and the wideness of its process make it difficult for a teacher to do justice to his or her teaching. He needs an alternate mode where students get learn the concept and ideas in science in the best possible way. This gives rise to idea of teaching and learning resources from where the students we can get the best learning experience that can be provided for science teaching. So we are using learning resources for in our science teaching is very helpful as. The next one, learning resources centers. In the changing world, the ICT area, it becomes very big challenge to provide answers to the most educational questions through traditional resources. Learners use internet services and social media for different purposes, and they get information flow from a dedicated review of most educational questions, whether from theoretical frames or material facilitations. Libraries and laboratories of the school were treated as most vital educational resource, but in the changing scenario, it is important to develop these traditional resources as per the growing demands of the children, and it is also important to develop new resources. It is also a fact that there is urgent requirement to develop a center that can cater to need of learners and provide information where a diversity of technologies and resources. This kind of center will be helpful for teachers and learners. Most popular term used nowadays for these kinds of centers is learning resource center. These centers can be used by institutions for multiple purposes. The prime objective of developing such center is advancement in the learning experiences of the learner and the teaching experience of the teacher. Any school has many resources such as teachers, learners, community members, library, etc. These kinds of centers may be a collection of different kind of information and techniques. So the learning source center is essential for the teacher to utilize acquired information. This information is analyzed and evaluated by teacher to build a new knowledge and experience and develop them using several learning methods. The next one, need and significance of learning resources in physical science. Learning resource centers focus on incorporation of incorporation of resources, information and communication technologies with educational practices inside the class. Learning resource centers' universal purpose is to guarantee learning educational suitable environment that allows learner to take advantage from any kind of learning resources. It also encourages self-learning among the learners. The next one, components of learning resources. There are many components of learning resource centers. Some of the learning centers are self-learning area, group learning area, self-learning area and group learning area. Self-learning area should enable access to all kinds of information resources, that means printed learning instrument, computerized and ICT resources. Self-learning is a process of all kinds of information resources, printed learning instrument, computerized and ICT resources. In group learning area, it has various equipments and uses where available projectors depend on computer, radio or live presentation through digital camera. There is available also flexible furniture which can be reshaped to suit all kinds of group and cooperative learning. The most important elements of good learning resource center are different educational resources. In addition to these resources, a good learning resource center will have well-defined policy made which will be adopted to satisfy the objectives of the learning resource centers. These policies should ensure the building and the development of integrated collection that can help and enrich educational curricula. The sum of the group learning area resources are cooperative learning. In this type of learning strategy, a teacher has to take at least one class in learning resource center. The next one, self-learning. In this type of learning strategy, the learner is allowed to learn by themselves. The role of teacher is a facilitator. Many activities are organized in the learning resource center. So there are there are two components of learning resource center. The first one is self-learning area, and next one is group learning area. In this self-learning area is exist all kinds of information resources, printed learning instrument, computerized and ICT resources. In group learning area, it has various equipments and uses wherever available. Projector depends on computer, radio or live presentation through digital camera. There is available also flexible furniture which can be reshaped to suit all kinds of group and cooperative learning. There are two methods of group learning area resources. First one is cooperative learning, second one self-learning. The first, cooperative learning means this type of learning strategy, a teacher has to take at least one class in learning resource center. In self-learning, in this type of learning strategy, learner is allowed to learn by themselves. The role of teacher is a facilitator. Many activities are organized in the learning resource centers. The next one, identifying and analysis the learning resource centers in teaching learning process of physical science. So role of resources is very important in science teaching. So identification and analyzing the learning resources is the difficult process. Selecting the resources is responsible for the science teacher. Selecting the resources is responsible for the science teacher. So that will enrich and support the curriculum, taking into consideration the diversity of interest and perspectives and the variety of abilities, learning styles and maturity levels of learners served. That will stimulate growth in factual knowledge, literary appreciation, aesthetic values, knowledge of societal standards. They positively and accurately reflect diverse perspectives on controversial issues, ensuring that learners have an opportunity to develop under guidance the practice of critical analysis and the ability to make informed choices, judgments in their daily lives. The represent gender, appearance, sexual orientation, ability and disability, belief system, family structure, race and ethnicity, and socio-economic status. So these are the identifying and analyzing the learning resources in teaching learning process of physical science. The next one, criteria for selecting resources. One should take care of some of the criteria for selecting resources of learning. Learning resources should support be consistent with provincial and local pilot program curriculum outcomes. Learning resources should support and be consistent with the provincial and logical pilot program curriculum outcomes. Learning resources should be developed by competent teachers and meet high standards of quality in factual content and presentation. Learning resources should be developed by competent teachers and meet high standards of quality in factual content and presentation. Then third one, learning resources should be appropriate for the subject area, for the age, emotional development, ability level, learning styles and social development of learners for whom the materials are selected. The next one, learning resources should have aesthetic, literary and social value. Learning resources should have physical format and appearance suitable for their intended use. Learning resources should be one of the variety of media presentation method. So these are the criteria for selecting resource. The first one is learning resources should support and be consistent with provincial and local pilot or program curriculum outcomes. Learning resources should be developed by competent teachers and meet high standards of quality in factual content and presentation. Learning resources should be appropriate for the subject area, for the age, emotional development, ability level, learning styles and social development of the learners for whom materials are selected. Then fourth one, learning resources should have aesthetic, literary or social value. Learning resources should have a physical format and appearance suitable for their intended use. Learning resources should be one of the variety of media presentation modes. Then the norms for selecting resources. The norms for selecting resources. The first one is appropriate of learning resources. Second one, availability. Third one, economic. Fourth one, safety. Okay. The first one is appropriate of learning resources, availability, economic and safety. The first one, appropriate learning resources. It is most important to select appropriate learning resources for ensuring maximum level of learning among the learners. Then second one, availability. It is always recommended that a teacher should prefer the locally available learning resources, that resources from external sources. The resource room with all required learning resources should be readily available to the learners and teachers so that they can utilize it as and when required. Then third one, economic. It is very important to use the learning resources that are not high cost, because in a developing country like India finance where finance is a major issue, we should construct low cost learning resources, classroom learning resources, improvised learning resources and locally available learning resources may be better option. Then fourth one, safety. The learning resources should be safe and secure for learners. The learning resources should be safe and secure for learners. The next one, physical science laboratory as a learning source. Physical science laboratory as a the main important one is laboratory. So it is a learning resources. So the college is facilitated by well-organized physical science laboratory for students to design and explore first-hand various aspects of experimentation and improvisation. The physical science lab provide opportunity for prospective teachers to conduct practical investigations by making use of a wide range of equipments, chemicals, electronic gadgets, charts and model available. Lab is conducive to developing process skills in both teacher students and students community in the school during various practical sessions of B.Ed, M.Ed and PhD programs. The laboratory is well maintained and regularly maintained with the required items. It has the chemicals and reagents that are commonly used in science practical at the high school level. Measuring instruments and commonly used apparatus for simple experiments are available for demonstration purposes. The physical science laboratory has sufficient storage facilities, demonstration space, water and current supply, and is open to students anytime to make the best use of these facilities. So the laboratory is well maintained and regularly we are keeping the required items. It has the chemicals and reagents are commonly used in science practical at a high school level. Then measuring instruments and commonly used apparatus and simple experiments are available in the demonstration purpose. The physical science laboratory has sufficient storage facilities, demonstration space, water and current supply, and is open to students to any time to make the best use of these facilities. The next one, physical science laboratory. This helps the students to develop a broad array of basic skills and tools of experimental physics and data analysis. It helps the students to understand the role of direct observation in physics and to distinguish between interference based on theory and outcomes of experiments, and develop collaborative learning skills that are vital to success in many lifelong endeavors. It gives the students an appreciation of the way chemistry as a science works. Above all, the aims offer possibilities where the student learners can be challenged to think and to argue, to evidence, to explore chemical ideas. This is an opportunity to make chemistry real, to illustrate ideas and concepts, to expose theoretical ideas to empirical testing, to teach new chemistry as a source of evidence and inquiry, and to learn how to devise experiments which offer genuine insight into chemical phenomena. It helps to learn the skill of observation and the skill of deduction and interpretation. The intellectual stimulation is connection with the real world, raising enthusiasm for chemistry. This helps the students to develop a broad array of basic skills and tools of experimental physics and data analysis. It helps the students to understand the role of direct observation in physics and to distinguish between inferences based on theory and outcomes of experiments, and develop collaborative learning skills that are vital to success in many lifelong endeavors. It gives the students an appreciation on the way chemistry as a science works. Above all, the aims offer possibilities where the student teacher can be challenged to think, to argue, to weigh evidence, to explore chemical ideas. There is an opportunity to make chemistry real, to illustrate ideas and concepts, to expose theoretical ideas to empirical testing, to teach new chemistry and as a source of evidence and inquiry, and to learn how to devise experiments which offer genuine insights into chemical phenomena. It helps to learn the skill of observation and the skill of deduction and interpretation. The intellectual stimulation is connection with the real world, raising enthusiasm for chemistry. Then virtual physics science lab. The whole world is growing to virtual world, and therefore education now has more virtual components. Virtual labs are an innovative concept where the laboratory experiment is possible without real laboratory with its walls and doors. It allows the learner to link theoretical and practical aspects of any scientific concepts without papers and pens. It is based on a software program that can create virtual environment of lab. To understand the concept of virtual lab, we will try to explore the definition of virtual labs. According to Harry and Edward says that virtual lab may be defined as a virtual studying and learning environment that aims at developing the lab skills of learners. The environment is located on one of the internet pages. This page has main page and has many links which are related to laboratory activities and its achievement. From this definition, we can conclude that virtual lab can be defined as virtual platform for studying and learning science that stimulates the real lab. It provides the learners with the tools, materials and lab sets on computer in order to perform experiments subjectively or within a group at anywhere and anytime. These experiments are saved on CDs, pen drives, hard disk on a web page. The next one is the components of virtual lab. The lab sets and equipments. These are required because virtual lab is complementary, not alternate of real lab. The next one, computer devices. They are represented in personal computers connected to an intranet and internet connection. The computers are in the personal computers. They are connected intranet and internet connection. Then communication network and the related hardware. Communication network and the related hardware. Then the programs of the virtual lab. The programs are represented in simulation programs which are designed by professionals. Cooperation programs and management. Technical staff. It is important to have the technical team to support educators in preparing and accessing scientific supports. The next one, mobile science lab. It is a well-known fact that it is very difficult to establish science lab in each schools of India. Mostly rural areas, most of the schools do not have these kinds of laboratory, and this has adverse effect on learning of scientific concept. This leads to learning of science without performing or even observing a single experiment. Mobile science lab is one of the alternates and initiates to cater to the needs of the learners. It gives the learners in secondary schools a chance to learn science by performing experiments, thus giving them not only the pleasure of learning by doing, but also rendering the subject enjoyable, easy to understand. Mobile science lab emphasis to learners that is in general statement should not accepted as facts just because they are stated in book. Instead of, they should be verified and observations and rational conclusions drawn from such observations. It is through such an attempt we hope to inculcate and nurture a scientific attitude among the school children. A good mobile lab possesses all the essential equipment, materials, and infrastructure. It should possess all the safety features of conduction of experiments. Safety and the material should be kept safely so that movement of science lab should not have any adverse effect on the equipment and materials. First aid box and doctor on call facility should also provided in these kinds of labs. Some of the activities performed in the mobile science laboratory. The first one is technology classes, second one science laboratories, third one hands-on workshops, fourth one video presentations, fifth one job skills training classes. The first one is technology classes, second one science laboratory, third one hands-on workshops, fourth one video presentation, fifth one job skill training classes. The first one is planning a science laboratory. We are constructing the laboratory. Some of the factors should be taken into considerations at the planning stage. The first one is the number of people working at a time. The minimum space necessary for each people for comfortable working. Third one, limitation of number of science teachers in secondary schools. Need for ancillary accommodation for storage. Then fifth one, designing the science classroom and laboratory in such a way that it could be used for science teaching for middle and as well as high classes. Sixth one, imperative need for economy. So we are constructing the laboratory. Some of the factors consideration at the planning stage. The first one is number of people working at a time. Second, minimum space necessary for each people for comfortable working. Limitation of number of science teachers in secondary schools. Need for ancillary accommodation for storage. Fifth one, designing the science classroom and laboratory in such a way that could be used for science teaching for middle as well as the high classes. Sixth one, imperative need for economy. Then next one, chemistry laboratory. It provides some of the items: working tables with the shelves, cupboards, and acid-proof tops. Second one, demonstration table with water and gas points. Third one, place for balance in walls. Fourth one, cells for keeping reagents, chemicals on tables or walls. Fifth one, chalkboard on walls. Sixth one, sinks in the walls or in the working tables. Next one, almaris. Next one, fume cupboard. Next one, space for glass jars, beakers, chemicals, etc. The next one, store and preparation room attached. So the chemistry lab at laboratory, we are using following the items. Provide following the items: the working tables with the shelves, cupboards with acid-proof tops, demonstration table with water and gas points. Next one, place for balance in walls, cells for keeping reagents, chemicals on tables or walls, chalkboard on wall, sinks with walls or in the working table, almaris, fume cupboard, space for glass jars, beakers, chemicals, store and preparation of room attached. The next one, physics laboratory, working tables of about 6 into 3.5 into 3 with drawers, One demonstration table with water and gas fittings, a wall blackboard behind the demonstration table, sinks in the walls, balance stands in the walls, almaris. The next one, need and importance of practical work in science. To provide permanent knowledge to the students, and this knowledge acquired through practical work will be retained by the students for a long period of time. The next one, second point, to provide various utilities and application of scientific facts in our daily life. Third one, to develop scientific attitude and interest in science among students. Then fourth one, it provides the students with opportunities to acquire a scientific knowledge and become an enthusiastic experimentalist and discover. Then fifth one, to develop the habit of tackling any problem by scientific method in a systematic and organized way. Sixth one, self-dependence, cooperation, initiative and self-reliance are developed through practical work. The next one, provide situations for the students to make the use of different scientific instruments and thereby make use of technical mind. And eighth one, to develop curiosity in the minds of young children. Then ninth one, to provide an opportunity for reading skills, making diagrams and using various tools of scientists. Then 10th one, to promote research and experimentation. 11th one, to foster love for mechanical work in the students. So need and importance of the practical work. The first one is to provide permanent knowledge to the students, and this knowledge acquired through practical work will be retained by the students for a long period of time. The next one, to provide various utilities and applications of the scientific facts in our daily life. Then third one, to develop scientific attitude and interest in science among the students. Then fourth one, it provides the students with the opportunities to acquire a scientific knowledge and become an enthusiastic experimentalist and discover. Then fifth one, to develop and habit of tackling any problem by scientific method in a systematic and organized way. And then sixth one, self-dependence and cooperation, initiative and self-reliance are developed through practical work. To provide situations for the students to make use of different scientific instruments and thereby make the technical minded. Then eighth one, to develop curiosity in the minds of young children, and to provide an opportunity for reading skills, making diagrams and using various tools of scientists. 10th one, to promote research and experimentation. 11th, to foster love for mechanical work in the students. Then some of the important points of organizing the practical work. Both theory and practical should go side by side while teaching science. It is highly preferable to provide separate apparatus to students and ask them to do the experiments individually. The teacher should supervise the practical work and should check the students' work and then there provide adequate instructions to the students before they do experiments. The aim and the purpose of the experiment should be made clear to the students. The teachers should stress on obtaining accurate results. All the students should be given instruction to maintain a neat record of their observations and inferences made should be experiments. The teacher should check the students' observation notebooks and sign before they leave the laboratory. A habit of proper handling of apparatus and economical use of chemicals must be developed among the students. It is the duty of the students to collect the required apparatus for the experiments and assemble them accordingly. So, these are the need and importance of practical work in science. The next one, use of science and physical science experiment kit in teaching, learning of physical science. Science experiment kits are innovative kits that are designed exclusively to mix and blend education and fun. These kits are mainly designed to important knowledge because they provide and detailed suitable facts on various aspects of life and physical sciences. The next one, they are mainly popular among the students who learn science are curious to experiment of various scientific facts and data. Then science experiment kit helps students to learn the practical aspects of science in everyday life. Not only children enjoy using science experiment kits, these kits are very helpful for teachers. They also help for parents who teach their children at home by themselves and want to make topic interesting. Then teachers and parents find these kits very useful in educating their children because these kits help teach both in-depth principles of science and hand-on learning science. So these are the use of science and physical science experiment kits in teaching learning physical science. Science experiments kits are innovative kits that are designed exclusively to mix and blend education fun. They are mainly popular among the students who are learn science and are curious to experiment on various scientific facts and data. Science experiments kits help students to learn practical aspects of science in everyday life. Reality is great fun for children who science experiment kit in their learning process. Teachers and parents are find these kits very useful in in educating their children because these kits help teach in both the in-depth principles of science and hands-off learning in learning of science. So these are the uses of science in physical science experiment kit in teaching learning of physical science. So these are the learning resources in physical science. Thank you.